are, Mr. Starkweather. I'll be right over here if you need me.
Go. To think I was surrounded by presidents and kings. Can my world have shrunk to this? A handful of relatives and a meager staff of hired help? Simon, where's my grandson?
We believe he's on his way, Mr. Starkweather.
Can't wait for him. Not enough time anymore.
Good evening, great Uncle Simon. You're looking well tonight.
Are you blind, boy? Or just a habitual liar?
I was just making pleasantries, Uncle.
Save your breath. You're nothing but a smooth talker, Jordan. I ought to know. I was one myself at your age.
Well, I guess it runs in the family.
Yes, you have a point. Well, Fiona, you look the same.
Thank you, Uncle.
It wasn't necessarily meant as a compliment.
I mean, you're just awful.
At my age and with my money, I can afford to say exactly what I think. Oh, and I do. And how is my little George a peach?
Little old me, I'm just peachy, Uncle. I made more. Mr. Starkweather, would you like some coffee? He mustn't have any. The caffeine would keep him awake and could affect his blood pressure. Sometimes his medications cause it to run a little high.
Apparently I won't be having any but another. You heard my keeper.
Si, senor.
Everyone aspires to live at a ripe old age. For what? To be kept alive by medicines and machines. To be prevented from enjoying so much of life's little pleasures like a cup of coffee.
You mustn't excite yourself, Mr. Starkweather.
You see? I'm not even allowed to feel any strong emotion.
That's a bummer.
You put it very succinctly, Rufus. Old age is a bummer. I could have searched my vocabulary extensively. Never come up with such an apt description. Bummer.
I'm glad you like it.
According to my doctors, I won't have to remain a prisoner in this weak-old body much longer. There is only one thing I hate to leave behind. My money.
You know what they say, Uncle, you can't take it with you.
Yes, that's what they say. So, several years ago, I had Lois here draw up my will. I suppose you'd all like to know how I provided for you, my heirs.
I, for one, admit I'm just a teensy bit curious.
A teensy bit, eh?
I was afraid something like this would happen. Here, Mr. Starkweather, breathe deeply. See what you've done? Me? I did it!
Somebody call him.
You can't. The phone line's just down. It's all right. He just lost his breath. He just needs to breathe the oxygen for a few moments.
Tell them.
Very well. As you know, Mr. Starkweather has been a phenomenally successful businessman for many years.
I'll say he's been on the cover of Forbes magazine at least a dozen times.
I never read it.
He has been a secret becoming one of the world's first billionaires.
A couple of years ago, I begged dear Ezra to advise Uncle Simon on some business investment plans, but he was too proud.
Yeah, Dad and his pride. Lots of pride, very little money.
If I may continue, his fortune is now worth in the neighborhood of $50 billion.
Well, if I'd have known that, I'd ask for a raise.
I won't go into the details of the will, but it essentially bequeaths $1 million to each of his household staff. That is, Mr. Bensonhurst, his butler, Miss Trent, his housekeeper, Minerva Gutierrez, his cook, Miss Withers, his nurse, Rufus Jones, his handyman, and Nancy Pollard, his maid.
Forget the raise.
Oh, Mrs. Starkweather, I had no idea. The will goes on to state the rest of the money is to be divided equally among his surviving relatives. That is, his grandson, Simon III, his niece, Fiona Starkweather, and her son, Jordan, who share 1/3, and his great-niece, Paula Thompson.
Isn't that nice?
Always knew you could right by us, Uncle.
I knew you got mad when Mama married a Southern boy, Great Uncle Simon, but he almost Blood is thicker than water.
Oh, I bet you Miss Withers could tell you if and it is.
Now that I've informed you of the will's contents, I have another announcement to make. As of tomorrow, the will becomes invalid.
What does invalid mean?
It means no good.
I got a brother that's invalid.
Miss Van Zandt means we're not going to get any of the money, you fool.
Oh. Guess I won't be buying that big screen TV I was thinking about after all.
Oh, sit.
Why did y'all decide to disinherit us, Uncle?
Ah,
Why did y'all decide to disinherit us?
found a better use for my money, that's why. Oh, I didn't leave you out entirely. All of you in the old will get $50,000 each.
50,000 out of 50 billion.
Lois advised me it would be a good idea to leave you a little something. That way you'd be less likely to contest my new will.
New will?
Yes. That's why I asked Kathy to stay over at Starkweather Mansion this weekend to type it up nice and legal for my signature. Oh, and Mr. Davis, as a disinterested party, will witness the signing, and Lois will file it at the courthouse on Monday.
Mr. Davis said he's some sort of detective. What'd you hire him to do?
Mr. Starkweather hired me to conduct an investigation. For the last 6 months, I've traveled to over a dozen or more foreign countries and visiting with some of the most brilliant scientists in the world. Some well-known, others prefer to keep their experiments hush-hush. I succeeded in finding one in Belgium, let's call him Dr. X, who agreed to do exactly what Mr. Starkweather desires. That is, to clone himself.
I don't understand.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
The ones you said are being sent to
They were sent to specialists with us. Specialists in DNA.
I thought you were trying to find a cure.
I was. Not a cure for my various ailments, no. But a cure for dying. And I did find it.
Cloning?
Precisely. Through modern science, I shall live forever.
It's not right.
It's not right. Here, all that. Let the moralists and politicians debate that question for decades to come. In the meantime, Dr. X, as Davis named him, will be creating a brand new me. Sit down with us. The lot of you seem to be displeased. Not, I suspect, because of the moral question, but because of your changing fortune. Too bad. Cloning is very expensive, especially since the process I require must be done in absolute secrecy. But I will still have a sizable fortune left for the new me to inherit. Oh, and no doubt, I will be the first person to become my own heir.